All right, so how's everybody doing, man? I've been gone for a little bit. You know, working on the house, working out, working on a diet, doing stuff. You know, all the other stuff that human life have to do besides the internet, right? And all that kind of stuff. But I just want to get on here real quick. It is Sunday, right? One of the best days of the week, I think. Um, but I just want to get on here and just say a couple things. You know what I mean? This isn't real formal. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to be like, I just wanted to be like one time. Um, I just wanted to talk about some things. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and a lot of people are freaking out, right? Almost like I was talking to my mom today. I'll tell you some stuff later on, but or I was telling her, people are kind of acting like, like when you kind of kick an anthill, or when you watch a video of someone kicking an anthill, and you watch all the ants just frizzling, flazzling around, just flailing all around, right? It kind of seems like that's what society all around the world is like, right? Like somebody just went around kicking all the ant hills, and now everybody is just flailing all around. That's what it seems like to me. Um, but real quick, right? Because there are some things, right? I mean, if you've been watching the media, probably not. I mean, a lot of people aren't. But if you have been, right, there's been a lot of natural disasters. There's been, a lot of stuff going on with censorship, right? You have Jen Psaki. I don't have the clip for you guys right now, but Jen Psaki was talking about it in one of those White House press briefings, how they're going to be taking down and they're going to be doing stuff for Facebook, right? So it's kind of funny how they kind of did that kind of stuff with Alex Jones and Smiley Smones, and how they kind of did it with Donald Trump and all these other people that Laura Loomer and kind of stuff like that, right? The people that kind of made an obnoxious way of showing how kind of careless, for lack of a better word, I guess you could say, right? To be polite, lack of a better word, right? Careless and negligent of, you know what I mean? And just the way that they've been doing, right? The ruling class, just the way they've been going about things lately, just in an out of touch bubble kind of way, to put it lightly, right? But don't fret, man. Don't let your heart be troubled, as they say, right? If the sun don't shine, the creek don't rise, and all that jazz. People talk about hope, and where's hope, and people are hopeless. And real quick, I wanted to talk about this earlier. I've been having this on my heart and on my mind lately. You guys need to realize this. If you guys are looking for it, like fairy godmother coming down, bippity boppity boop, and making everything better again, that's not happening. That doesn't happen. That's a fairy tale. What happens is all that stuff comes inward. You have to look inward, and you have to, don't settle for the first things that come up. Dig really deep. Like when I was a kid, when we was digging out there, playing in the mud, making mud pies and stuff like that. They used to always say, "Oh, don't be careful, don't be digging that big of a hole. You become digging to China." You got to dig like that inwardly, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, all aroundly. And especially in these times when the tough gets tough, right? When the tough times, right? That's when people's true colors come around, right? And I think that's what we're seeing today is a lack of guidance, a lack of leadership, a lack of direction. People are just, like I said, frizzled and frazzled, right? And that's why, at least personally, on an individual level, right, you need to find some kind of like teeter-totter, right? And that's kind of like what world is like. Life is like up and down, teeter-totter. People are either teetering and not tottering, or tottering and not teetering. You have to find that balance, right? You have to teet and you have to tot. And especially when it gets really, really, really hot, you really have to, find some peace, meditate, eat better, drink water. Don't get too caught up in the madness, Try and find some balance. Find something that you can vent, you know what I mean? A hobby, work out, You know, all that kind of stuff. Because if you don't, you know, you're gonna idle hands are the devil's playgrounds, as they used to always say. You know, it used to always give me kind of in trouble when I was a kid. You know, I couldn't really sit still all the time, and if I got really bored, I wanted to go just do anything and everything, right? And right now, people don't have jobs, people aren't working, people can't go see their family, all that kind of stuff, right? You have the Lambda, you have the Delta variant, you have all this other stuff, right? People are supposed to be getting vaccinated. You have all this kind of. It seems like there's no end in sight, but it always is darkest before dawn. Remember that. And if you know, and that's why we all need to rally together as a community. You know, people are seeing all communities come together as one, right? And it's a tough time, and that's how we're gonna heal, guys. And that's how we're gonna do it. But you know, there are gonna be some fucktards. There are gonna be, you know, some lops and some J-cats out there that are gonna try to mess it all up and muck it all around, throw a wrench in it. And we gotta be aware of that. We gotta be strong for that. Headstrong, mentally strong. Weak bodies can't fight, folks. Weak bodies can't fight. You know what I mean? And life is a struggle, right? That's what they say, right? But then you have to fight that struggle, right? So if you're not eating right, you're not dieting, you're not doing anything else like that, you know what I mean? You're gonna fall victim to a lot of this kind of stuff. And that's why I'm kind of trying to tell you, you're gonna have to jailbreak your mind right now, right? Like an iPhone, you're gonna have to jailbreak that stuff, right? Everything that, like Yoda said in Star Wars, everything you've learned, you have to unlearn. You're gonna have to expand that mind. Your mind's a powerful thing, right? And it's like right now we're all operating on the basic Windows platform, right? But there's a whole like other things out there in your mind, and it can expand, and you will grow from it, and you will be a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful creature afterwards. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Okay, but if not, okay, real quick, you know, they're going. They want to federalize the police, man, and everybody's out here thinking that they're going to be looting and they're having a good time, the party, right? And like it's the end of the world, right? And here's the thing, though, like you're going to have to pay the piper sometime, right? The toll road is coming to the toll, right? And we better have some tokens, and you can't have the stolen tokens, right? And so if we don't rally together and clean up our communities, because the government is showing, right, like Dave Portnoy has proven, right, they with small businesses and everything else, right, he's helping out and doing all that kind of stuff because the government couldn't and wouldn't and can't, right, and look what they're doing right now, right, and they're always pointing the fingers and everything else because they don't want the blame because they want to be reelected. I get it, right, but right now people are dying not because of misinformation, but because they're too focused on not looking like an idiot, right? And instead, we're dying. We're out here getting shot by stray bullets and stuff like, you know what I mean? That wasn't even happening in Vietnam and Iraq, right? But it's happening in America. Okay? And if we care about our loved ones, if we care about our children, if we care about our future, if we care about anything, right? We have to care about ourselves enough to care about our city. We have to care, right? Enough to stand up, right? And do something right and good in this world. And by doing that, it is the best way, right, to be a pillar in the community. And you don't do that by being a degenerate or a criminal, right? You don't do that by doing any of that. You do it by being a righteous man or a woman or whatever you think you want to be, right? You know what I'm saying? You make that the best thing you can be and make it the brightest light, and people will, like a moth to the light, be attracted to it, right? But it's not going to happen, right? Because otherwise we're going to get Judge Dredd, right? People are out here thinking they're a gangster and they're this and they're that, but you're shooting children and women and everything else, and that's what cowards and betas do, right? So, I mean, come on, get with the program, right? And I'm not talking like what people said. I'm talking about get with the real life program. This isn't all about, fancy pops and rainbows and lollipops. You know what I mean? This isn't all just, let's share a Facebook post and everything will be great again, right? This isn't like that. We all actually have to stand and actually be a part of this system, or the system doesn't work. That's why it's broken. It's not because of anything else. It's because none of us want to work. None of us want to take part in it, right? So we all have to start to do that, right? Fake it till you make it. Right? I mean, it's not gonna be great. It's like when you're really fat and you're working out. Yeah, it's gonna be a struggle for a minute, but then the results are gonna be amazing, right? So let's just get to this clip, right?
The Chicago police top brass came out and tried Merciless gun violence is crippling Chicago streets and stripping lives away from families. Tonight, fingers are spinning in each direction, pointing at who's to blame.
The courts have created an unsafe environment for large crowd gatherings because you've released people charged with murder back into these same communities where they committed this heinous crime.
One of the things that we have to talk about and address are the number of people who are pulling triggers on our street who aren't arrested and brought in for prosecution.
100 people were hit by bullets in Chicago over the holiday weekend. 18 of them didn't survive. As of Tuesday night, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office says it has received 11 cases referred by police. 9 have been approved for charges.
We can't charge someone who's not caught.
Arrest and prosecution are reactionary. Pastors and activists want proactive help to prevent crime. Some say the problem is beyond city leaders to solve, at least alone.
The numbers show, the deaths show that the policing strategies that are in place are not working. And it is absolute insanity to keep doing the same thing and expecting different results.
Southside Alderman Anthony Beal agrees. He's proposing National Guard troops deploy in Chicago's downtown temporarily.
Free the officers up that are downtown that were taken out of the communities for downtown.
Okay, hold on. See, this is what I'm talking about, right? We don't want to militarize the police or anything, but we want to actually have the National Guard in our communities and everything else. It shouldn't get to this point, right? And then as soon as it gets to this point, oh, we want to go to the extreme, right? No, the things aren't working because we have people like this that everybody wants to be the Cape Crusader who saved the freaking world. Nobody wants to just be the part of a simple little cog in the machine that makes the wheel turn, that makes the whole machine turn, that makes the world go round. Isn't that weird? You know, it's weird to me, right? Everybody thinks that they all have the answer, but yet look at everybody's life, right? It's all unmanageable. That's why everything else is unmanageable, right? We need to actually let the cops be unleashed and go after these gang members and the violent criminals and everything else. The low-level drug addicts and everything else, they should be going to rehab and alternative sentencing unless, you know what I mean? But we need to actually stop having sympathy for criminals and actually start having sympathy for the victims, right? We need to actually start having sympathy for the pillars of the community and not for the givers and not the takers, right? The ones that give into the community and not the ones that are taking it and making it harder for all of us else to actually live out here, right? The thing is people want to actually have it. We need to actually start also giving a lot of this judicial, decisions to the judges, right? Who have seen in countless times the repeat offenders, because most of the people that are committing the same crimes are over and over and over are repeat offenders. It's a handful of people that are committing all of the crime over and over and over. What we need to do is actually just let go and let the police handle the business and stop trying to just do what we did in Iraq and Afghanistan and everything else, right? And that's why the Taliban allegedly beat the baddest army, right? Because we're lowering it all up. We're trying to just be like, oh, this is what it is, and we're living in a fantasy world like that because these criminals don't have that kind of stuff in mind, right? And they're gonna play on our heartstrings and our sympathy to get over on us, and that's a fact, right? So some of these people, sure, some of them can be reformed and be a productive member of society. Some of them can't, right? And that's where we have a jail. Jail is detention. Jail is not a bad place, okay? But we can make the jails and everything else more better instead of actually making it like the night at the Roxbury where we're making jail in the street and in the street and jail. We need to stop doing that kind of stuff, right? That's the insanity, okay? And now because of time, right? I mean, look, you got all these daytime the cops can't do anything, because we want to vilify stuff, and then we box ourselves in corners, right? And then now when we actually need the stuff, we can't do it because we box ourselves in a corner. That's why this whole political stuff of going on and on about how this one side is right and one side is wrong is wrong. We need to actually think that everybody has a different vantage point in this thing. That's why censoring people is wrong, because if we all can put ourselves into this better and have a better conversation, we can figure this all out. You know what I mean? Because if you're looking at a picture, if you're painting a picture, if you're looking at the Grand Canyon, right, and you're looking at it from the very top, it's different when you're on the bottom or when you're on the side, right? So if we can all pitch in our little thing, we can paint the picture of the Grand Canyon in a better, more majestic way. And that's how this society works, right? Otherwise, I mean, we're just having stuff like this. I mean, it's just looking ravishing, right? I mean, look at this is the flooding in Europe, right? Like the biblical flood. This people think that can't happen. I mean, it happens, right? This isn't global warming and stuff, but I mean, hundreds of people have been dead. Thousands are unaccounted for, right? We have 97 dead in the Miami collapse, right? 8 people unaccounted for. This is 150, 120 people dead right here in this flood, right? And thousands unaccounted for. It's going, I mean, it's a huge flood from Germany to Austria, right? It's huge, right? Then you have these fires, right? Like this. This is why, right? And what are we doing? We're focusing on all this other stuff when we could be putting our minds and actually solving problems instead of bickering and complaining about stuff, right? I mean, this is the greatest country. We have all this kind of stuff, right? It shouldn't be this disastrous, this chaotic, right? I mean, look. You have the Cubans waving the American flag because this is a great country with great, right? And they want to come here, right? And we and everything else because they know that they've been living, right, in squalor and craziness, right? Everything else. They're getting arrested for speaking their mind and having, right, for just going out there, right? I mean, is this the kind of country we? No, we don't want to live in stuff like that, right? Come on, man. We need to stop thinking that we have it really bad here, right? Because it could always be worse, but it could always be better. And so we need to stop focusing on how the glass is half empty, but how it's half full. And that's how we have hope, and that's how we change the world, okay? That's how we do it, folks.
The
All right?
government has zero.
All right? So just remember that. All right? Love you guys.